Hey boys, welcome back to the channel where we are now going to be diving into the Canberra Raiders 2023 team, all the player movements over the summer, and yeah, we're just going to be I'm going to be giving my opinions on how I think they'll perform. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So we'll start off with the player movements, and they're one team that has, I would say, they've lost quite a bit of power and they've gained not much. So the most recent signing, actually, Denny Levi, coming back from the Super League as another 9. Honestly, not the worst signing. Like, Levi, I honestly think Levi has been, I thought he was always pretty heavily criticised and a bit harshly criticised back in his playing days. I thought he was pretty okay, but apparently no one else really thought so. I think he's done okay in the Super League. Played the World Cup. I thought he was pretty solid. And it's a decent depth signing for them in the dummy half, because it's one of the, I don't know about issues for them, but it is a bit of a I don't even want to say weaker point, because I'll talk more about it when we go through the 17 or the potential 17. But obviously losing Josh Hodgson, he's been at the club for a long time now, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been a bit of a Josh Hodgson hater for a while. I've always thought he overplays his hand a lot. Like, when he has a good game, it's a fantastic game. Like, he scores 3 Dalian points. He's in everything. Couple of try assists, runs, tackles, all the works. Probably a 40-20. He just does everything. But when it's not his best game, he comes up with a lot of mistakes and he overplays his hand way too much. But he has been a big cog in that machine for a long time. Obviously last year he didn't play at all, so for a while now he hasn't, actually, with injury, so they've had to adjust, and I don't think they've got the dummy half correct at the moment. But Levi, good handy replacement, good handy backup, and the other notable signing, I guess, is Basami Solo from the Knights, who I haven't seen too much of. Like, he's had very limited chances at the Knights. The Raiders have lost quite a bit of forward power, or a decent amount. So it's not a bad signing. See if he can go to another level at the Raiders. But the losses, big ones. Adam Elliott, massive. Again, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong about Adam Elliott, or not really wrong, because I still think of the Dogs he was pretty weak. He was okay at times, but I didn't think he was that good. So I thought the signing at the Raiders, I thought, whatever. Didn't really think too much of it, but honestly, him and Tarpany were their absolute stars last year. Adam Elliott was massive. The work rate, the ball playing ability, the aggression, like, he was sensational. So they only had him for the year, which is unfortunate for them, and a big signing for the Knights, actually, I think, and a big loss for the Raiders. Josh Hodgson, we talked about. Klokstad also is going back to the Warriors. I think it's a good signing for the Warriors. Obviously, the Raiders, the way they were using him, it's not really a loss. Obviously, it's a depth loss, but I understand it, because obviously Savage they look at as the future fullback, or the long-term future. Klokstad was, when he sort of first went over there and played fullback, he was a bit of a revelation. Just his confidence got hit the year after, and then he was sort of in and out of the side, playing occasionally in the center, on the wing, occasionally at fullback. Like, he just lost his way, and that sort of, it coincided with them trying to push Savage through and make him the starting fullback. I still think the Raiders look better with Klokstad as the number 1, but Savage obviously has huge potential and a lot of talent. But Is he going to be that fullback that they can rely on week in, week out? Haven't seen it yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if he really steps it up this year. But big loss regardless. He's just he is a Mr. Fix-It Clockstart, and at his prime, I mean, he was sensational. Harry Rushton also gone. He didn't get, I don't know how many games he played, but he didn't play much. But the odd time I saw him, I thought that he looked pretty good. He's obviously a very young kid. I was a bit disappointed to see him go because I thought that, you know, he had the potential, if he just stayed banging away there at the Raiders, that he would get his crack, and I thought he could, you know, turn into one of these really good, you know, English forwards over in the NRL. But, you know, understandably, he wasn't getting the game time. I'm sure he got a better contract offer back in the Super League, so, you know, understandable. Ryan Sutton has gone to the Dogs, so another English forward gone. All the English guys have gone, dude. The Raiders, all their English ties have sort of departed now, I think. Who have they got left? I mean, they got Elliot Whitehead, I guess, but not too much else. But, you know, Sutton has been very good for them as well. But they did have a bit of an embarrassment of riches in the middle forward stocks. So, again, not the worst player to lose, I would say. And then, and I guess Sam Williams also is gone from the club. And, you know, Sam Williams, no disrespect, whenever he had to come in and play some footy, he did a great job. So, sad to see him go as well. But let's have a look at their potential 17. So, I think the back five is pretty set. Savage obviously is going to be the number one. Kotrick and Rapana on the wings. Timoko and Chris. I guess the only one here is Jared Croker. Does Jared Croker get back into that side? I mean, I don't see it happening. I thought I read somewhere like a while ago that people thought that Croker might get back into the center spot. Maybe you push Chris. I mean, Chris obviously has played in the back row a bit. He could play off the bench as that utility, come on the backs, come on in the forwards. But I just think Croker, for how, you know, he's been good. I wouldn't say great. Like, he's obviously played a lot of footy, highest point scorer there, and he's been good. But I've never. I know people love Croker. I've never been the biggest fan of Croker. I think he's just done a really serviceable job for a long time. But I think it's just time that the young guys here take over, and I just don't see him getting back into the side unless there's a couple of injuries, really, because they do have some other young backs as well. Like James Schiller was really good the odd game he played. I mean, they've still got Albert Hopewade in the squad. So yeah, they've got some players for sure that can come in. Also, Semi Valamate, they got some depth in the back line for sure. So I just don't see it happening. Jack White and Jamal Fogarty, obviously the halves. Josh Papali'i, Joe Tarpany, yes. Maybe Papali'i goes back to the bench at some points, and they might start with a Corey Horsburgh or Emre Gula. Wouldn't be shocked. I'm just looking on the NRL.com the starting 17. So that's what they got. They got Zach Wolford starting at dummy half, which again I'll tell you about the dummy half in a second. They've got Elliot Whitehead, Hudson Young, and Corey Harawira and Naira as the lock, replacing Elliot. Not Elliot Whitehead, Adam Elliott. Which, yeah, I mean, I understand that. And then their bench, Tom Starling, Emre Gula, Solo, and Horsburgh. So yeah, I don't. Again, they got a couple of good forwards as well. Peter Holler, I don't really know what happened to him. He was a young cowboy and he looked very promising, but hasn't really got a crack at the Raiders since moving a couple of years ago. Trey Mooney, young kid coming through, looks really good. But I do think that's probably the way they'll line up. The only difference, the dummy half, like I said, Zach Wolford. I don't know about Wolford. Like, I don't necessarily hate what Stewart was doing last year. He was playing Wolford for no, I do hate what he was doing because he was playing Wolford for way too long. There were games where he was playing for like 40 minutes plus. and then he'd finally get Starling on in the back end. But it was like Wolford doesn't really offer much from dummy half. Really strong defender, don't get me wrong, like rock solid, and that's why I don't mind him if he plays like the opening 20 minutes, takes a sting out of the game. Fair enough. Tom Starling, can he be an 80-minute dummy half? Probably not at this stage. So I don't mind that, and then Starling comes on and you know, livens it up. You know, the mini Damien Cook, really. I do like Starling quite a bit, but is Danny Levi just a better option than Zach Wolford now? Debatable. I think a lot of people will be like no because they don't like Danny Levi. Like I said before, I personally think Levi is actually pretty okay. I think he's pretty strong defensively, and I just think he offers a bit more than Wolford with his running game. So, in my mind, I think Levi starting and Starling on the bench, I think would be the better option. But I do see them sticking with the Wolford and Starling combo because it did work pretty well for sure. And I mean, the way the Raiders won last year when they got on that run was definitely through the forwards, and that's where they've copped the hit, right? No Sutton, who again was in and out of the team, but the big one here is Adam Elliott. Like him and Tarpany, like I said, were huge. I mean, Hudson Young was also very good, and I think he'll continue. Josh Papali'i was, you know, definitely solid as well, but you know, he's getting on. He's not playing the minutes and having quite the impact he used to. Elliot Whitehead, very similar. I think his time is definitely coming to an end. Harawira and Ira getting some more minutes, I don't think is a bad thing. I think he can provide similar to what Elliot did, but I mean in terms of ball playing ability and the attacking, but the defensive work nowhere near as strong. Harawira and Ira he can put on the big shot, but his defensive efforts sometimes can be a little lacking, so I think they're gonna miss that massively. I think with no Adam Elliott in the middle of the field cleaning up so much work there. So I mean, looking at it's a pretty strong team in all fairness. I think the back five is pretty good. Savage is the big one here. Does he sort of come in and really take over that number one spot? You know, he's had a full year last year. Glimpses of brilliance, but then you know, doesn't quite he doesn't have like a kicking game to go back to. The ball playing isn't really there. It's more him just being a bit of a solo brilliance at times, but you got to be more than that. You got to be more than that as a starting fullback in the NRL nowadays. Like there's so many good fullbacks that have that, but then also have extra on top of it. So needs to improve for sure. I saw a couple of photos and he was looking absolutely jacked. I think every player photo I've seen, they've looked fucking huge. They've looked shredded as, dude. So I don't know, if he's bulked up a bit, it's probably a good thing because obviously not the biggest guy, but that's the trade-off with the speed. But I'm predicting, and I'll do like I'll probably, after I do like every team like this, I'll probably do like a proper ladder prediction. But when I'm going through this, I'll just put them like where I think about they will, because I'll probably forget like whereabouts I put them, and I'll have like two teams finishing 8th and whatever. So I don't know if I said in the Broncos one, but I'm definitely predicting like from 6th, 7th, well probably like 7th, 8th, all the way to like, honestly, 12th, 13th, I think it's going to be an absolute logjam. And it could be, it's going to be a toss-up between so many teams. And I think the Raiders are definitely going to be on the cusp of that. So, I'll have a closer look at where everything shapes up and I'll slot them in somewhere. But, anywhere from 7th to 13th, I think, for the Raiders. Which is it's a pretty wide gap. But I just think there's going to be a lot of trading. This year, I feel like. The top 4, like, I probably, Panthers, Storm, Roosters, and probably Cowboys. I do think the Cowboys are going to drop slightly. This wasn't meant to be a ladder, so I'm not going to keep going with that. But I think they're the main ones. I think Rabbitoh's also up there, and probably the Eels. You could, I guess the Eels as well. But we'll talk more about that at a later time. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to sneak into the 8 this year, I feel like, for a lot of decent teams. But the Raiders, you know, if Tarpany can continue that just dominance in the middle, Papali'i can go around another year, Hudson Young keeps improving. I still think they've got the team to beat some of the better teams in the comp for sure, but I just don't see them knocking off the best teams in the comp. So yeah, the Raiders, I think they're gonna drop a little bit from last year for sure, with the Adam Elliott departure and just not really bringing in anyone of too much note. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think of the Canberra Raiders, how they're looking this year. Obviously, if you're a fan, that you're going to think they're going to go pretty well. But let me know regardless, and stay tuned for more in the future. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.